Had Jack learned any deaf talk or anything before he moved down to Vancouver? Hand signals?
But he used his hands to tell you everything, and would move his lips, and you could understand what he was trying to tell you. And when we wanted, like when Mom wanted him to go get wood, she'd go like this, point to the stove, he'd drop a tray in wood. That's the way we communicated back and forth, you know. And I can remember when he would come home from school on the holidays, especially me, he would set me in a chair and fix my hair, and he'd finger wave it. Make me have waves in my hair, because he liked curly hair and wavy hair, you know. He thought that would make girls look pretty. Sometimes I have to sit there for hours because you had to wait for that gel to dry to make those waves, and then they would stay in for 3 or 4 days. But Edna didn't mind it because she liked to sit around, you know, and put on silk socks and high heels even when she was 11 and 12 years old. She liked that kind of thing. I didn't. I wanted to be outside playing with Bill and Carol. I was a tomboy.
So Dad used to tell about Jack. I guess he was born kind of prematurely or really small.
Yeah. He was only, what did they say? I think 3 pounds? Something like
3 pounds.
The mom carried in her little pocket in her apron when she'd do her housework and stuff. Ethel and Dorothy told us all about that, you know.
And I heard that they kept him in a shoebox by the stove at first, kind of like we would do it.
Yeah, they kept him in the warming oven, you know.
In the oven?
The stoves used to have a warming oven up at the top.
Yeah.
To keep that, like when you took stuff out of your oven and you wanted to keep it warm, you put it up in the warming oven. Yeah, they kept him in there a lot, like to be like an incubator.
Yeah.
But they put him right in the oven too to start with, I guess, to make sure he got good and warm. And then after he got where he was being able to function, they put him in the warming oven.
He was born at home like all the rest of the kids.
Yeah. The only one born in the hospital was Carol, and that's because Mother was at the hospital with you with that broken leg when she went into labor.
So she was, Grandma was, had the measles or something when that made him be born prematurely, or you know?
She had that real bad flu that was brought back from World War I. I can't remember what they called it.
Okay.
No, I guess they call it like the swine flu or something. But it was really bad. There was a lot of people that died from it. And yeah, Mama was sick with that.
And that's why he was born
they
deaf.
Figured that's why he was born deaf and so small. Because she was so sick. And then when I was born with a whooping cough. Because everybody had whooping cough.
Yeah.
And also they used to have to take me outside and hold me up by my heels and slap me on the back and everything because I turned all blue, couldn't breathe. But throw me out in the cold air and make me get my breath. Yeah. She said that's the only way I survived. They just didn't have, you know, the medical things that they have nowadays.
So what do you remember about your dad?
Well, to me, he was kind of like a workaholic. Because, I mean, he was up early in the morning, logging, and when he'd come home, a lot of times he'd go out, if he got home early enough, and do pulpwood or shingle bolts, and he always took care of his horses before he'd ever come in for supper. So it was always after dark. About the only time I really seen him was on weekends. And then a lot of times, you know, he stayed right in the logging camps. So we used to, I can remember when he worked at Prairie, way up on the mountain there, and he always stayed for fire season, watch out for fire season, anything to make more money that he could. And we would walk, Mom would take us kids, and we'd walk clear down the prairie, and walk up on the mountain there, in the little cabin he was, and we'd have lunch with him, and then have to walk all the way home. But I used to love his syrup. He used to make maple syrup, and it was like having maple syrup. That was something we usually didn't get, but he made that when he was at work. He put that on his pancakes. At home, he never put only bacon grease on his pancakes. So and he used to always sit at the head of the table. And we had a bench for us kids, and then the little tiny ones that couldn't would fix their own plates. They sat with the bigger kids on the other side. Well, I was the youngest. Bill and Carol was over on the side with Mom and, well, usually your dad, to help them eat. And I got Edna and Bob and Huey would always beat me to the bench. So I had to sit at the end by my dad. And every morning I got slapped in the face with pancake. Whatever kid sat there got slapped with his pancake.
Is it just a habit he had, or was he mean about it?
No, he was actually going to see if we were going to do something about it. And then the kids did, you know. So I said, well, if we had said anything better, we'd get elected. So one morning he slapped me with that pancake, and it just hit me right. I guess I picked up my pancake and I slapped him back. And he said, well, he said, I wondered when one of my kids was finally going to get enough gumption to not take a slap in the face with a pancake.
Really?
And I never did get in trouble. From then on, the kids didn't mind if they set that into the table or not.
So did he ever tell anything about his childhood or anything? Talk to you about that at all?
Not to me. Yeah. See, I was only 11 when he got killed, so I can't remember too much about any of his relatives, although I know that Aunt Teresa and her husband and little Sugar Lump and
yeah.
And then Teresa had 3 kids. She had Sugar Lump was the youngest, and there was Barbara, and I can't remember the boy's name.
Yeah. Well, maybe get into some of that.
And he got killed on his bicycle. I hit the car. Delivered paper. He was only, I don't know, 11, 12 years old. Exactly, we went back to Michigan.
So the ones that I visited with in Michigan, they said that Ray's dad was about the meanest man that ever lived.
And that's what my mom always said.
And so he ran away from home, did he?
Yeah, I think he was only 12 when he worked his way out here to Washington.
Yeah. From the records I have, he was a little older than that, but well, he did live with with another family in one of the censuses. He was living with somebody else back there.
Well, then that could be why they said he left home.
Yeah.
Because I can remember my mom saying he ran away from home when he was 12. But I never, like I say, I never knew any of his side of the family.
Right.
So, I can remember his. All I can know is she was a cousin. So I don't know just what she was to my dad, but she was redhead. Her name was Margaret. I can remember when she came to visit when they lived between Park and Wickersham, and I was just a little kid then.
Cousin of your dad. So
yeah.
Well, I'll look at some of that history here later on and see what you can remember about that. Now, my dad, he was 9 when you were born, so you grew up pretty much together in the house. Remember anything about him when he was a kid, or reactions? Or?
I can remember one time when he wasn't going to go to school. He played hooky, so we all played hooky, and we got on the old mill pond. That's where we hid out when we were going to the railroad track. I said we were going to walk to school on the railroad track, and we stopped at the old mill pond, and we went out on the raft. And I fell in and almost drowned it, and they had to pump water out of me. Jack got so scared he ran all the way home and told Mom. So that's how she knew we didn't go to school. We all got a licking for that. Yeah. When Dad come home, we all got a licking.
Yeah.
He told us, you go pick a switch. And I know I was little, but I knew enough to pick the biggest one I could find. Because then you only got a couple of slots. You pick the little tiny switch, you really got it.
And I'd heard that when they bought some new shoes and stuff for you, you guys didn't like to wear shoes. I heard they tossed them out and went to school barefoot, or do you remember any of that?
Yeah, because all summer we'd run barefoot. We saved our shoes for school, and why I don't know, but I guess we thought if they wore them out, we'd have to wear wore-out shoes. But when school would start, then we wouldn't want to wear shoes because we were so used to run barefooted. Our little Carol, he could run down the gravel road just as fast barefooted as faster actually than he could with his shoes on. Because he was so used to, walking in the gravel barefooted.
I remember being barefooted too and could step on thistles and everything.
Yeah.
So you walked to school down the tracks rather than the road?
Sometimes. Usually it's if the boys wanted to play hooky. Otherwise we went on the road. And then Huey finally, he went to work for Mr. Perry, the skating rink, and his music teacher, Mr. Lucky? Yeah, Lucky was his name. And he earned enough money to buy a bicycle. So then he'd put me on the bar and Edna on the handlebars and pump us to school. But yeah, it was 5 grades in the one schoolhouse with just 2 rooms. And had the great big old pot-bellied wood stoves.
So you never went to the park school?
No.
Okay.
Evelyn and Dorothy and Neil and them did. But then that's when Mom and them lived closer to the park.
Yeah.
Which wound up being a cow pasture, Zodis' cow pasture later on.
Was it down toward where there was a mill pond down there or something too, wasn't there? At one time there was.
There might have been at one time, but not after I was there.
So it was down kind of across from the school on the other side of the road? Do you remember?
No, because that was all cow pasture.
By the time you were there, the house was burned
the
down.
park school set up there on the little hill.
Right.
Just kind of kitty-cornered from the grocery store.
Yeah, and Bill's Hill was up on the other side that was named after your grandpa Babcock at one time.
Yeah, I guess they had a logging camp there at one time too.
Yeah, Silver Beach Shingle Company had a camp, and William Babcock bought it. And I guess Grandma worked in the cookhouse up there when she was a little girl up on the hill. Did she tell about that at all?
Yeah, she used to tell me how she used to wait on the tables and did the dishes and set the tables for the workers, and she helped Grandma do the cooking.
There was a story somewhere, was it her that a cougar was after him on the way to school or something?